You're listening to Benji B. Special edition tonight. As you can hear, I'm smiling because if you listen to this show, you can already tell that I already have my record of the year pretty much, and we're only in February. And I'm happy to say that the person behind it sits with me now to talk through this week's album mode. Welcome to the studio, Mk.gee. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Very happy to meet in real life. Yeah, where do we start? What did we just hear from your record?
A little bit more.
A little bit more, which is taken from the brand new album out now. What's it called?
2-Star and the Dream Police.
Welcome to album mode. It's a feature we do on the show where we like to celebrate the album format of some of our favorite records by favorite artists, and it's no secret that this is one of my favorite records for a long time, so thanks for blessing us with the music.
Thank you for having me.
And also thanks in advance for this Maid of El session we're going to be playing tonight as well. Looking forward to getting into that.
Let's go.
First things first though, we're going to talk through the brand new album. Maybe we should start with the title and what that means.
There's some, yeah. There's a little story weaving in through the record sonically and lyrically, but I guess the whole concept of 2-Star and the Dream Police is really supposed to feel like a storybook. You know, it's supposed to be kind of like this liminal storybook you're flipping through sonically and lyrically. Yeah, it's really, the whole record's really about a second coming of this hero. I could get more into it, but that's pretty much the...
No, do get more into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be kind of like some sort of second coming, and it's supposed to feel like that, and it's supposed to kind of honor this, some sort of hero archetype that this character is, 2-Star. I don't want to go too deep.
No, that's cool.
Into it.
You know what we should go back to though is off mic just a minute ago you used this word liminal, which I really didn't know what it meant, to be honest. I had to ask what liminal means, and I literally just learned this today, so maybe you can on mic explain what you mean by the word liminal in relation to this music.
Yeah, I mean the whole record was, it was kind of a challenge to myself. I wanted it to feel like something so recognizable, but at the same time there is no possible way that there's anything out like this today. That was the goal, and it was like, you know, there's a strangeness to that and there's a creepiness to that as well that I'm really obsessed with, where it's like, I guess around the whole record is this kind of like brooding apocalyptic feeling where it's like there is something like very atonal about it, and there is something that's like something doesn't really sit right all of the time. But in the midst of this kind of like little war that's happening outside, there are these moments that are like pretty amazingly pure and perfect and like beautiful. And that to me feels like a liminal space, and what a liminal space is something that it's crazy you don't know what these are, because they're, you know, like there's pictures of it online all the time. You look up liminal space and there's like video games and like horror games built off of it, but there's these pictures you recognize but you shouldn't recognize, and that's kind of the whole basis of it.
So is your brain trying to fill in the gaps, basically?
Exactly. Yeah. So your brain's like, I shouldn't recognize this, but I do recognize this, and I think I was really obsessed with trying to make music like that, because there's, like I said, there's a playfulness to it, and there's also like a way you can gaslight people into being like, feels like I've been here before, but there's no possible way I should. And with that kind of like basis, that concrete you build, you can kind of really take people into like a wild place. You can take people through wild zones, all because there's just maybe it's just one sound, you know. It's a sound that somebody, you know, it's a sound that's recycled, or there's a it could be the smallest thing, could be a bigger thing, but it's really fun to kind of like mess with people's idea of what they recognize and what they don't recognize.
I mean, if you were looking to create a record where that's happening, I think you've definitely slam dunked that, because
yeah.
You know, it's like I was saying to you earlier when we first met, it's just like, it's beautiful to hear a record where I feel like I can imagine what's in your record collection.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have a sense of this melting pot of influences that are going into this thing, but that by no means means that this thing sounds like them. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
It's kind of like its own genre in a way that you've just created, and I feel like, you know, we've been fans of all the things that you've been doing up until this point, of course, but it really does feel like on this album that it's landed into a section of the record shop called Mk.gee.
Yeah,
you know what
that's
I mean?
the whole point. Yeah. You know, just this explosive freedom. It's something that's truly mine. is I would say that's this record.
That must be a beautiful feeling.
It is definitely. And I think for a long time, I think today music, there's this weird fascination with humanness. Like people think like, oh, you know, that's a very like, it's relatable, or like to be relatable or to be human in music is very in a very odd way. Kind of, there's too much of a fascination with that, I think. And I think people work on records for 3 years to make things a little bit more human, which is insane to me. And I guess the whole purpose of this record wasn't to do that. I think you can hear that in music today too, because things sound very good. Things sound good.
They sound expensive.
And they, yeah, or not expensive, you know. And there's really, and people spending 3 years on a record, 4 years on a record to sound more human is crazy. You know, like editing something to sound more like, oh, that was so raw. He's like putting that in there because, like, you know, like overdubbing to sound, make a record sound more raw or to sound more like, you know, relatable is insane to me.
It's like reverse engineering.
Yeah. And I think it's evil. I think it's truly evil. And I think the purpose of this record was to make something as alien as possible, but something that is like, I shouldn't understand it, but I do understand it. And that was the whole purpose of the record.
Well, I think you've definitely achieved that. This is a good sign. We're talking so much that I've forgotten to play another record from Album Mode, but that's what we're going to do next. So what are we going to pick? Normally I pick the tunes, but today I want the artist to pick the tunes. So we could go...
Play I Want.
Music by special guest Mk.gee tonight on BBC Radio 1. We're doing Album Mode, and you just heard a tune called I Want. Tell us about that.
And I guess it was written a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like a that one and a couple others are kind of like an homage to a lot of Jersey rock and very specific stuff I've grown up on. And yeah, it's a pretty playful song. I guess like it kind of goes along with the challenge of the record. I wanted to build a record that's as minimal as possible and as explosive as possible, and that is the goal for every song. And so you have 4 layers, and how explosive and fiery can you make those 4 layers? And that song specifically was, I guess, one of the challenges. And like pop music through like a smoke screen a little bit.
But I guess everyone can project their own movie onto it, right? But for me, my sort of like movie history, that's a very specific scene just in those 16 bars, whatever it is.
Definitely, yeah.
You know?
It's definitely pretty American.
That's what I felt. I'm feeling American, I don't know, high school lockers or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That kind of movie section, that bit of the movie, you know?
Yeah, something like that. And I guess, yeah, something a little bit creepy too. And I think it's a very atonal song, and it's kind of like in this kind of smoke screen the whole time, and then finally the reveal is it's just like, yeah, it's like I love doing that stuff. It's like very mixed media, you know. Why not put the live version of the song as,
yeah, definitely,
you know, for 15 seconds.
Works perfect.
Yeah.
And you've already answered the question in a way that I was going to ask you next, which is this amazing minimal maximal thing, you know, which is, I feel, from the whole record, where there's definitely bottom end, there's definitely drums, there's definitely bass, but somehow it's not there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's like magic.
Yeah.
How am I feeling? All this power, all this bottom end, all of things that I love, but without it just being conventional drums or conventional.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a challenge. It's like it's all implied, all of it. So these giant moments aren't actually giant. There's just like, it's the implication of huge.
Yeah.
And that's to me, it's just so much more playful and fun to listen to stuff like that. A lot of my favorite records are like that, where the choruses and these big like anthem style choruses actually aren't like that huge. They actually aren't that huge when you take a step back. It's just the implication of it. And I think that like those little missing puzzle pieces, where if it did actually make it as big as you think you wanted it, it wouldn't be as big as it is. Because I think there's something with music and with at least my favorite stuff, it's like that promise is almost like that kinetic energy of like it, you know, it's like you have to imagine it is actually more exciting than you getting it. What if it's not giant here?
Yeah.
And what if you have to like gaslight people into thinking it's giant just through the energy of like you delivering whatever that chorus is or whatever that small part is? I really like doing that. It's just there's a playfulness to it.
Yeah.
There's like a kinetic energy to it that I'm really obsessed with.
Yeah, well, in that case, let's play another example of it. What are we going to go into next?
Another example.
It's all an example of it, in my opinion.
Dream Police.
Yeah. Oh, drew for the big one.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put into words how much I love this song. When this came out,
best song ever.
Come on. So who's the Dream Police? It's giving me some 1984 kind of...
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Dream Surveillance.
Exactly, yeah.
First of all, thanks for your in-3 record selection, which was fire. As if we didn't already know that your record collection is fire. But if we're on that subject, how do you feel about talking us through some favorites, influences, stuff that, you know, anything really, what music that first blew your mind, or things that sent you in a particular direction, or because I can feel there's a lot of good ingredients in the mix.
Yeah, well, I grew up a jazz kid, so I was just obsessed. I was like just straight ahead. I mean, we on the shore. I grew up in New Jersey, and would, you know, for work and for you know, for a job, I would work at this restaurant kind of by the shore, and then I would play rock gigs and at bars and different restaurants and whatnot as a young kid, and then do kind of jazz trio stuff as well. So it's pretty, I guess it was pretty all over, but it's definitely embedded in kind of like a lot of like kind of Jersey rock and whatnot. A lot of Springsteen, even though I hated it, you know, at the time. He is one of the best of all time. I've come to known after I left Jersey. Yeah, I grew up as a big jazz guy, and you know, Pat Metheny, like Lyle Mays and all that good stuff. And I originally moved out to LA to try to find a gig. You know, I thought I was gonna be like a touring guy.
Yeah.
And I got fired a lot because I played strange. Nobody wanted to hear people play like that, I guess. And so I was like, you know, well, it's a good time to release music now. And that's when I started to release music, when I was, you know, about 19 or 18.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, famously, we look back now and see that video in the front room with Dijon and like, you know, which is an amazing standalone piece that will sit there forever, you know. And and you've done some great collaborations in your journey in finding this sound.
Many more.
Yeah, many more for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to Dijon.
All right, we're gonna have to get into another tune because I keep forgetting what time it is. It's album mode with special guest Mk.gee. Into this one, Riley and I. You just heard music taken from one of my favorite albums of the year. I know it's only February, but I can officially tell you that already. I think this is going to be a timeless album, and I'm not one to like blow smoke or get hype, okay, just to be clear, but I really think it's a very special album.
Thank you, man. And it means a lot.
Yeah. How are you finding the UK?
It's the best place ever. No, really, it's great. Yeah, I think people are great. I'm still trying to get to know the layout.
Yeah,
it's a little bit funky, but
yeah, I mean, London is massive.
It's so big.
And then you've got the rest. You've got to do the UK next time. Go around. Go play in Manchester, Glasgow.
Yeah.
You know, not leaving any cities out, but there are many very special musical places.
Yeah. It's funny, me and my little brother, we used to watch the Premier League a lot growing up.
Okay.
We were big soccer players.
What's your team?
Football players. Arsenal. I know, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, is that good? Okay, yeah.
I knew I loved him for a reason. Well, listen, for everyone listening, just for clarification, you know that I have a sort of no football rule on the radio show, generally speaking, because otherwise I'd be talking for half an hour and half everyone would switch off. But tonight I'm breaking that rule to let you know that Mk.gee is officially a gooner, okay? We came to your gig at Earth last week. It was amazing.
Thank you.
How'd you find it?
Well, you know what happened. You can...
Well, there was a little technical moment that made it even more legendary. Sometimes when you're doing a party and the sound goes wrong, when it comes back on, it's even better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it had that effect.
So if anybody that's listening, the whole sound system shut off, and there was a 20-minute period in which only the monitors were working, so we turned the monitors around and gave a couple fans the guitar, and yeah, that's what shows are all about, man.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, there's no stakes. Stakes aren't as high as people think.
I want to say shout out to who was on stage with you, actually, because we're big fans of him on the show as well.
Best ever.
Yeah.
Andrew Aged.
Andrew Aged, and for those of you that have been listening for a while, Andrew is one half of Ink, formerly Teen Ink, whose music we're big fans of, and from a musical perspective, musical universe perspective, it makes absolute perfect sense that you should be connected with his sound. You know?
We speak the same language, we play very similarly, we grew up on the same stuff, and it's very rare to have somebody like that like play with you. It's like really, it's a feeling I've never really had before.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. Yeah, just somebody you know where they're coming from when they play something. Like you can hear what they're pulling from. It's pretty awesome, and vice versa. Yeah, shout out Andrew. He's the best, man.
What's the live plans from now onwards? Are we gonna hear some more tours coming up?
Yeah, we're gonna do a tour, US tour in April.
Perfect.
And some Canada dates, and we'll be back.
Yeah, well, we'll be happy to have you back. Thanks a lot for coming in today.
Of course.
The album is called Two Star and the Dream Police. It's out now. It's by our special guest, Mk.gee, who has joined us in album mode tonight. You're listening to Radio 1 Wednesday night. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, brother.
See you very soon.